The bold and the beautiful. The secret that could destroy Ridge. Nick had never trusted Ridge. That was no secret. For years, he'd watched Ridge manipulate, lie, and slither his way through life, always landing on his feet, always with Brooke somehow coming back to him. Nick knew Ridge wasn't the golden man he pretended to be, and now, finally, he had the proof to tear his image apart for good. It started when Nick hired a private investigator. Not just any investigator, but someone ruthless, someone capable of digging up dirt no one else could find. Nick wasn't playing fair. He didn't care anymore. Brooke deserved the truth, all of it. He was done watching her being strung along by a man who didn't value her, didn't respect her, and definitely didn't deserve her. He wanted Ridge exposed. What the investigator uncovered was far beyond what even Nick had expected. He'd hoped to find financial misdealings, maybe an affair. Something typical, something predictable. But this was a different beast entirely. Years ago, Ridge had been involved with another woman. Not just any woman, but someone emotionally fragile, young, naive, someone who thought he loved her. And it happened while he was married to Brooke. Worse, she got pregnant. Ridge didn't just walk away. He didn't just deny the child. He allegedly pressured her, forced her to end the pregnancy. According to the investigator, there were medical records, emails, and an old letter, one that Ridge never thought would see the light of day. But Nick had them now, and he wasn't about to let them sit quietly in a folder. He tracked the woman down. She had disappeared from the public eye, lived under a different name, and had spent the past decade trying to rebuild her life. It took money to bring her in, lots of it. But Nick didn't blink. He made sure she was flown in first class, given a place to stay, and most importantly, that she felt protected. She was scared. Not just scared of facing the past, but scared of Ridge himself. According to her, Ridge had threatened her. If she ever told anyone what he did, if she ever exposed the truth, he would make her disappear. Those were his exact words, she claimed, with tears in her eyes. Nick listened. He didn't push. But when she agreed to tell Brooke everything, Nick made the call. This wasn't going to be whispered in the dark. Brooke had to hear it straight from the woman Ridge had tried to erase from history. Brooke was stunned when Nick asked to meet her privately. At first, she didn't want to hear anything more. She was exhausted. Her heart had been torn in too many directions. But Nick insisted. It's about Ridge, he said. And you need to hear it. From her. When the woman walked into the room, Brooke didn't recognize her. She was elegant, but carried a pain that was hard to ignore. And when she spoke, the air shifted. I was in love with Ridge, she began. I didn't know he was married. He told me things I believed. And when I got pregnant, he changed. He told me I couldn't keep the baby. That he had a family. That this would ruin him. He begged, then he threatened. I was scared and I gave in. But the guilt never left. And neither did the fear. Brooke was frozen. She couldn't speak. Her hands trembled. She looked at Nick, who only nodded toward the woman. She is proof, he said. Emails. Documents. Medical records. He tried to cover it up, but it's all here. Still, Brooke needed more. She wasn't ready to believe Ridge was capable of this. Not her Ridge. So she did the only thing she could. She called Ridge and Taylor to the house. It was time to confront the past head-on. When Ridge and Taylor arrived, they were surprised to find Nick, Brooke, and the mysterious woman waiting for them. Ridge's face darkened immediately. He knew who she was. That alone said everything. What the hell is this? Ridge snapped. You tell me, Brooke said, voice tight. Did you or did you not have a relationship with this woman while you were married to me? Did you force her to end her pregnancy? Ridge's jaw clenched. This is ridiculous. This woman is unstable. She's lying. But the woman stood firm. I kept everything. I was too scared to come forward before, but I'm not scared anymore. Are you seriously going to believe this? Ridge looked at Brooke. After everything we've been through? The woman stepped forward. You told me you would destroy me if I ever told anyone. Do you remember that? You said no one would believe me. That you'd bury me. Ridge scoffed. You're out of your mind. Nick pulled out a folder and dropped it on the table. Then explain these. Go ahead. Explain the emails, Ridge. Explain the clinic records. Explain why she was seeing a therapist you paid for, under a fake name, for years after. Taylor tried to intervene. This is insane. Ridge would never stay out of this. Taylor, Brooke snapped. This is between Ridge and the truth. Ridge's defense crumbled. His voice shook as he tried to salvage control. I made a mistake. It was complicated. She wasn't supposed to get pregnant. I panicked. You panicked? Brooke repeated. So you threatened her? Paid her off? Covered it up like she didn't matter? I did what I had to do. Those words silenced the room. Brooke stared at him, the man she had loved for decades. The father of her children. The man who had sworn to be honest with her. And here he was, revealed as someone she didn't recognize anymore. I don't know who you are, Brooke said quietly. And I don't know if I ever really did. Ridge tried to grab her hand, but she pulled away. You lied to me. You looked me in the eye, year after year, and made me feel like I was the one ruining everything. But all this time, you were the one with blood on your hands. Nick watched from the side. He didn't smile. There was no satisfaction in seeing Brooke break. But the truth had to come out. And now it had. Ridge left without another word. Taylor followed him, trying to salvage whatever dignity remained. The woman quietly excused herself. Brooke stood still, her face unreadable. Nick stepped closer. I'm sorry it had to happen this way. But you deserve the truth. You always have. Brooke nodded slowly. She didn't cry. Not yet. That would come later. For now, she was silent, her world unraveling again, but this time, with clarity. The truth had found its way out. And Ridge Forrester, the man who built his life on illusions, had finally been exposed. Whether Brooke would ever recover from the betrayal was another story. But one thing was certain, nothing would ever be the same again. And Nick? He wasn't done yet. Ridge had destroyed too many lives with his lies. And if Ridge thought this was the end, he had another thing coming. Thomas Forrester was never one to stay in the shadows for long. After months of absence, he was back in Los Angeles, and this time, he wasn't playing games. He came back with a mission. Reclaim what was his, protect his son, and rewrite the rules of a family that had written him off. For too long, he'd been cast aside, dismissed, judged, and exiled. Now he was ready to demand justice, not just for himself, but for Douglas, the one person who still believed in him despite everything. His return wasn't quiet. It couldn't be. From the moment he walked through the doors of Forrester Creations again, the air shifted. Ridge looked up from a meeting, caught between surprise and discomfort. Steffi froze, eyes narrowing in disbelief. Brooke stiffened, her instincts kicking in. And Hope couldn't even find the words. She'd known he'd come back eventually. She just didn't expect it to feel like this. Thomas made it clear from the first moment, he wasn't here to apologize. He wasn't crawling back. He wasn't looking for permission or redemption. He was here to reclaim his name, his position, his asterisk legacy. Asterisk, too many choices had been made in his absence, and none of them included him. That was about to change. He demanded a seat at the table, not as a favor, but as a right. He was a Forrester. He was Douglas's father. He had talent, vision, and a fire that hadn't been extinguished, only banked. He didn't hide his resentment toward Ridge, Brooke, or even Steffi. Ridge had tried to mentor him, but ultimately turned his back when things got hard. Brooke had never trusted him, never believed he could truly change. And Steffi, his own sister, had consolidated power while he was gone, taking control of the company without looking back. The family had closed ranks and left him out, and Thomas had kept quiet long enough. Now he was speaking. Loudly. He started by requesting a formal meeting with the Forrester board. Not a casual chat. Not a one-on-one in Ridge's office. A board meeting where the power decisions were made. His proposal was bold. He wanted to co-lead the men's line, to return as lead designer, and most importantly, to establish a trust for Douglas that couldn't be manipulated by anyone else. Especially Hope. Hope flinched at that. Their history was tangled, deep, and marked with pain. She remembered the manipulation, the obsession, the chaos that followed Thomas like a shadow. But she also remembered the sincerity in his eyes when he talked about Douglas. The moments of clarity. The times he stepped up when no one else did. And now, faced with this stronger, more determined version of Thomas, she wasn't sure whether to be terrified or hopeful. Still, she couldn't forget the past. She asked him directly, "Are you still seeing your therapist? Are you still doing the work?" Thomas didn't hesitate. "Yes. But I'm not here to prove myself to you, Hope. I'm here to fight for my son's future. And for my own." Paris, meanwhile, was caught in the crossfire. Engaged to Carter, planning a wedding that was supposed to represent stability, love, and a clean break from all the past drama, she suddenly found herself reevaluating everything. Thomas's return brought more than ambition. It brought old alliances, new dangers, and a growing tension that threatened to consume everything. Carter had warned her, stay clear of the Forresters when they're at war. But she couldn't help but feel drawn in. Thomas had once confided in her, flirted with her, trusted her. Was it just strategy? Was he using her again? Or was there something real still hiding underneath? Back at Forrester, Steffi wasn't having it. She had fought tooth and nail to stabilize the company while her brother spiraled. She'd made tough calls, cut emotional ties, and worked to earn the trust of the board. And now he wanted to stroll back in and claim a throne he'd set on fire, not without a fight. She confronted him behind closed doors, voice sharp, eyes cold. "You think you can just come back and demand everything? After everything you put this family through?" Thomas didn't flinch. "You were always good at taking charge when others were down." "But I'm not down anymore, Steffi. And I'm not going away." Ridge was torn. He loved his son. But he also loved peace. And Thomas didn't bring peace. He brought chaos, confrontation, and hard questions. Ridge tried to broker a compromise. Asked Thomas to take a lesser role, to ease back in slowly. But Thomas refused. "That's what you always do, Dad. You ask me to wait. To be patient. To earn my place. But I've already earned it. You just never wanted to see it." Brooke, ever suspicious, warned Ridge that letting Thomas back in too fast would backfire. She didn't trust him. She never had. She saw the way Hope still hesitated around him, the way Douglas clung to every word Thomas said. That kind of power in the hands of a man with his past, it scared her. And she said so. But Ridge couldn't ignore what was happening. The board was intrigued by Thomas's designs. They were fresh, bold, brilliant, exactly what the line needed. Investors started asking about him. Press started speculating. Was the prodigal son about to become the new face of Forrester? Hope found herself caught between her professional instincts and her personal fear. Thomas wanted to collaborate again. Not just on designs, but on raising Douglas. He wanted joint custody reestablished. He wanted his name on every decision. Hope resisted at first, but Thomas didn't back down. He showed up. For Douglas. For meetings. For fittings. He was everywhere, and Hope had to admit, part of her didn't hate it. But another part waited for the moment the old Thomas would resurface. The obsession. The collapse. The darkness. Paris watched it all unfold and felt her own world cracking. Carter noticed. He asked her point blank, "Are you still in love with him?" She denied it, of course. But doubt lingered. Was her wedding built on solid ground, or was she about to step into another disaster? The power struggle intensified. Thomas accused Ridge and Brooke of running the company like a private club. He argued for innovation, for generational change. Steffi countered that he was reckless, impulsive, and still unpredictable. The board was divided. Meetings turned heated. Family dinners became battlegrounds. And then came the vote. Thomas had lobbied hard, promised fresh vision, and used his designs as proof of concept. Steffi relied on her track record and the company's current stability. Ridge was the swing vote, and he delayed it. He needed time. But time was something Thomas no longer gave. He went to Eric, the patriarch of the family, the founder. The final word. Thomas laid it all out, the designs, the vision, the betrayal he felt from his own blood. Eric listened. He didn't speak for a long time. Then finally, he looked at Thomas and said, "You remind me of myself when I was your age. But fire without control burns everything it touches." Thomas nodded. "Then teach me how to control it. But don't ask me to dim it." The story wasn't over. Far from it. Ridge was on the edge. Hope was unraveling. Paris was at a crossroads. Steffi was preparing for war. And Thomas was just getting started. One thing was clear. The balance of power at Forrester Creations had shifted. And no one, was safe.